So. All order. Planning Commission regular meeting 7/22/2025. That's a Tuesday, 6:30 PM, council chambers, call to order. Roll call, Valchef is here, Reed Holler, Meg Winters, AJ.
Present.
And Alan.
Yep.
So we have a quorum and we will proceed. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our last meeting on June 24th. In this chamber, does anyone have a motion to approve, or is there any clarifications before we get to the minutes?
I approve.
Is that a motion? That's okay. We got a motion from AJ, we got a second from Alan.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes rule the floor. And we're off to public comment. So, public comment is open to anyone online or in person, who is a resident, a Crafton property owner or business owner in any way, shape or form. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. And we ask that you refrain from any sort of unneighborly behavior in your comments. So the floor is yours, public. Any hands up online? Anyone internal?
Okay.
All right then. So. Trails. It's been a long and winding road. Yes, it has. So I am thrilled to report that the trails planning update is moving forward. There isn't a whole lot that's quite happening yet. The contractor who was hired by grant, we have a lovely grant that council got for us to hire a professional who knows a thing or two about how to do this. The purpose of all of this is to move our burgeoning trail system. You know, imagine this, you wanna go for a walk by the creek, well, technically you're not allowed to. There's no real reason why you can, because it's not ours to promote. Miss Mary's got a sign down by the golf course that says, go walk our trails. Well, we can't really promote that, you know, in all earnest. So the idea is if we can solidify the trail system that we have, define it, put it onto an official map, put it into the borough, then we can do things to promote it properly, you know, that sort of thing. Then what it also does is we can plan for it. Like if you ever walk down to the creek trail, there's a gorgeous cliff that you walk past. I've been walking past it for 20 years. It's absolutely beautiful if you want to see what slate looks like in shale. The problem is when you get to the precipice, it's darn near straight drop. So if we, you know, had a grant from somebody, we could improve that descent so that more people with strollers and, you know, whatnot, make it accessible if you have a walker or a wheelchair or something like that, potentially. But we can't do that without getting all of this kind of officiated. And a big chunk of it is owned by the, it's run by the Army Corps of Engineers or their subsidiary, whatever it's called. And there are lots of places in Indiana and Iowa and wherever that have levees. We have a levee. And it's run by the Corps of Engineers. And they really could care less if you put a walking trail over the top of it. But they have some things. You can't plant trees on it because that erodes, and you can't do this, can't do that. But they're willing to come to the table. So part of this study is how do we get them to the table to consummate a relationship and make all that happen. So that's where it is. They're doing an inventory right now. The contractor's doing an inventory of what the system looks like and where the needs are, where we have to have a rid of what do you call it, intergovernmental cooperation or whatever it's called when you deal with the Corps of Engineers and all that sort of stuff that the bureaucrats have to work out. Somebody has to put a punch list of things that need to be done. And so they make an inventory of what needs to happen. They're only focused on, you know, if you guys know, and this is recorded, there's an 8-mile loop starting from Miss Mary's bulletin board by the sled riding hill, all the way through the conservatorship property that's now defunct. We got to deal with that at some point. Where the old transfer station, the Pittsburgh City Transfer Station was. And walking back through the Woodlawn Busway and up behind the dentist's old office. That whole thing, if you go back up the trolley trail and then back down the stairs, that's a more than 8 mile loop. That's a heck of an asset for our town. But we can't put it on the website and promote it until all those little pieces. So the hardest part right now is what's called Baker's Acres, which is behind Sakai's, or I don't know the name of the new dentist. It's a private equity firm in Borough. God bless him, but behind Sakai's office, or the Fig Tree Coffee, that ties down the Woodlawn bus stop. Do we now own all that property as a borough?
I think so.
Yeah, we now own all that right of way as a borough. There's no more contention around that, because it's like, well, it was a paper street, but do we own it? You know, it's right away, but can we do it? So now all that needs to be sorted out. Like, what are the boxes left? You know what I mean? Just because you have it, what are the boxes left that take it from point A, where we are right now, which is a nice walk, to a promotable walk without exposing yourself to some crazy person's lawsuit, or not to offend those crazy people around. The reality is, that's where it is. It's in the inventory management right now. They've reached out to multiple stakeholders in the community, people who run like Pittsburgh and, you know, all sorts of things that know a thing or two about, you know, trails and promoting trails and that sort of thing. So that's where it is. It's moving forward, and there should be more of an official update September or so.
I have
Yeah.
a couple, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I have just a few questions. One is, so the trail planning, project, if you will.
Yep.
call it a project.
Yep.
Is part of the planning commission's work.
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought it's a point of clarification, because I thought that it wasn't exclusively, but it was part of.
Yeah, sure. We're the
So
planning
who is,
commission. There's nothing more for us to do, if that's what you're asking.
well, so I was just gonna say, when you use the word "we" and we have to do a conservatorship, is the "we" administration, is the "we"?
Oh,
the
it's
trail study
the trail
committee?
study committee and the contractor. The consultant has to do an inventory. Conservatorship is not anything to do with it. The contractor has to first define what needs to be done in order for the borough to promote this as a trail system, right? Obviously, no one's giving you a ticket if you go walk the system.
Right.
But in order to promote it, you know, you need to make sure that you have certain liability issues and you handle it. So we also have a master parks plan. That was, again, it wasn't the work of the planning commission, but we were involved in making in facilitating and propagating it. So as part of the master parks plan, this was one of those goals, right? So in order to then say, oh, XYZ federal, state, whatever agency has a grant to improve trails. Well, if we have it defined,
Right.
then we can go after that grant.
I understand how all that works.
Okay.
My real question is organization within the borough. And so is there and this is just, I'm naive about this, is there a council person who is the sponsor or liaison for this?
I think so.
Okay, let's
I
check.
mean, if anybody's,
Council people on the committee?
yeah,
It was.
yeah, I mean,
And
It's a
Tim,
good, I mean, it's a good question.
right,
So the consultant finishes their work, does it then get reported to council for action to the extent that they would adopt the thing? I don't even know the answer to that.
yep,
Or- or
it
is
would
it a-
go straight to council. I mean, if we want to, we can request that we review the draft. We certainly have that right to ask for a recommendation on an approval body.
Good try.
We can certainly do that. I mean, I've been pushing for this trail system for 20 years.
Yeah, sure.
we know.
So
No,
we can
it's a good-
see that.
I am more than happy to bring it through this group for us to look at, you know, what those findings are. And tweak them or whatever before council. I mean, it only hardens the proposal to council.
Right.
So I think that would be absolutely fine. I don't think we need a motion or anything like that
Right.
until we get to a point where there's some line of sight to what the findings are. I'm on the Trail Study Commission
Jim is the head, right?
Oh, my,
You're on it, and that's all we have from this. Jim
Yeah.
is the head of it, and you're just kind of.
I don't
informed.
participate.
You're just in the racing matrix, you're
Yeah.
just kind of informed,
Yeah.
not even consulted. So, yeah, I mean, I think that we're good, and that's why we're having an update that we agendize onto this. To entertain those
Right.
kinds of ideas, and as we get to a point where, what are the findings maybe going to look like?
Right.
Then we can bring it through here to help, you know, because I fully expect. In the coming months. That there should be an opportunity for the planning commission to be more involved. And maybe, you know, as we get kind of a straw man of the inventory of the things that need to be done. Maybe planning commission can lean in and host an open house. Community, you know, visioning workshop like we used to do for the sewer separation. To just educate people more about what it is, because obviously not everybody's plugged into this, but if it's, you know, if you have an event down in the park around Halloween.
Yeah,
people-
and I'm not trying to make it more complicated. I'm
No,
trying
not
to
at all,
understand.
I think it's great, it's a, you know, it's.
The next question is, or is it, if it were not, well, I think, I believe that, and this is what I'm not speaking for another commissioner, but the same question about. It feels like we were in the loop and then we were not in the loop, and so just the updates we're getting from you are in the loop, which is fine. My next question is this tree and shade part of it, and I know that there are probably members who are on it, but I just didn't know where it sits, so that's all, it was just
I
a
don't know what tree and shade.
commission, no,
Have to do with it.
okay,
I mean-
trails and trees and shade, I don't know, I was just looking for, just
Yeah.
see, yeah, okay, so that's fine, the answer is no.
I mean,
And
but,
then,
but,
fine.
I mean, this body is an open body, and
Right.
if the Shade Tree Commission wants to have a seat at the table on this, that can be accommodated.
No,
Yeah.
I just was asking, so,
Oh,
and
okay.
I'm not suggesting it, I'm just saying, you know, we have
The other thing
very
we
saying,
talked
check
about-
out our trails, it just serves as the opportunity
The
for
rec
more
board.
communication and collaboration
The,
with entities.
the other piece that came up you were there in the planning of it is, you know, what stakeholders
Right,
do we want to involve? And I don't know if anybody said the Shade Tree Commission and all
I
the
don't-
work
I
that
don't
we
think
did. I don't think so, but we did say the rec board was one of them, because obviously it's a recreation activity, so.
right,
So they have been at some point added to the list for the consultant in terms of interested stakeholders.
great,
within the
thank you,
community. Yeah. Okay.
thank you,
It's an update. Yeah, not a lot right now, Chuck, because the contractor's doing the contracting work of getting the
yeah,
stuff organized and together, and I don't think there's a meeting even the follow-up meeting
there's a
scheduled.
meeting on the 28th. I believe, the next meeting of the trail committee,
Yeah,
I think,
is it next 2 weeks?
It's-
It's July.
coming up soon.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
good, yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah.
I'll be there. I know I did miss the one that we had before the visioning session with the business owners and the stakeholders.
Yeah.
But then the next one is, full steam ahead, so we're good. All right. All right, awesome. Any comments from our staff on the trail? Okay. So the Business Development Committee, you're left running solo on that. Do you have any update?
of course.
Oh,
So, yes, Thursday night is our business mixer.
Awesome.
And we will have, we don't know, we hope to have anywhere between 20-25 businesses hopefully show up
This week,
this Thursday.
Okay.
how do people learn more about this mixer?
So it is only for businesses.
Mhm.
We have called every business that so our intern has taken last year's list, updated it, found the data, gotten all the contact information. We have divided it up. We have made phone calls to everybody who is listed on that to verify information. It's been a good project because a lot of the information was close, but not 100%. And so we're making sure we have the right addresses, telephone numbers, contact names, website links, etc. We have that ready to go. We have and Mike can certainly speak more to this because he and the intern Kennedy have been quite instrumental in helping us get here. We are launching our window cling. So we have the window clings designed that are Crafton Shop local. So one of the giveaways for the businesses who come will be, here's a chance for you to, show that you're part of the community, and there's a QR code logo on the code, so they can go directly to the business directory and see all the businesses that are listed here, so they will get that. Mike will be doing a portion of the presentation to businesses to tell them what things are happening, such as the multimodal grant, is that it? Whatever, might not be that, yeah, whatever the grant title that we have, how we spend it, how we've gathered input, and so we have flyers that we followed up with RSVPs to each of them, so we're hoping to have good attendance. We have 3 key questions that we'll be asking people to answer through flip charting and just sharing your perspectives, and then we will have a follow-up for anyone who didn't make it or would like to come again in September.
Now, if someone didn't make the list and they happen to own a business here, can you define what owning a business here is? Like, there's a number of people, I can think of dozens that I know personally, that run a business out of their home.
Correct.
Or something like that.
They are included. Now, they're included to the degree that we know them.
That's
But
what I
they
mean.
are, but right now, our focus is on.
If they've been overlooked because they just didn't make that list.
Well, they may have been overlooked because they didn't let us know they were a business.
Well,
So
fair enough.
that is the starting point.
How do they let you know that there's a business?
That's a borough question, not a planning commission question.
There's a registration on our website for the business directory. I believe there's 102 now registered businesses on the directory, so. And we're not gonna exclude anybody, so there's everything from a small Etsy, home-based business to. A giant eagle.
Yeah.
So,
That's great.
yeah, they're welcome to fill out the form on the website and get on the registry.
That's great. Okay, and that's just going to the Crafton Borough website and looking for the registry.
Yep.
Pretty simple to navigate.
Precise.
I don't have any other questions. Al, you good?
Yeah.
All right, great update, thank you. Unfortunately, you still hold the floor because
Yes,
we're
I
moving
do.
on to the game fully commission training that you went to, and I just want to lead off by saying I apologize, it took us 2 months to get there,
No,
but
we have
we
other
got there.
topics on the agenda,
Yeah.
so that's fine. Borough staff afforded me the opportunity to go to a 90-minute training session, which was one of several that are offered by the state for planning commissions and new members, which I found to be very beneficial. There were a couple of items that came out of that I thought would be useful for us to talk about. And it did a really nice job of laying out what the commission is responsible for, what it looks like in a typical organizational structure for boroughs, et cetera. The areas that I wanted to speak to were one, the concept of having and the importance of having bylaws for planning commissions. And I don't know if we have them. I've never seen them as a newcomer. And they really stress the importance of that. And so I just wanted to throw that out as something that as we move into the future, we might want to have a working group session to look at that and to determine what would go in it. They provided a sample of bylaws that were here that we can all refer to and see what we might adopt, what we might amend. One of the examples that they gave and used was someone who was a planning commission member who went to the media. And how do you treat that, and who speaks for the planning commission? So that would be another type of important thing to say, who is the spokesperson for the planning commission to the media, and things of that nature. So that would be one of the things that I wanted to raise and suggest that we could take a look at. They had they had 2 quizzes, which I thought were fun, and I was gonna have us all do them, but since we're not all here tonight, I won't put us through that lovely effort. The other thing that was suggested that I think is worth talking about is the annual report from the planning commission. And I know in civil service, we did annual reports. They're required by a particular time.
They are.
And I know we didn't have a lot of activity for a while, but it feels like we should get the annual report scheduled and up in the system and operating for the record, and also for influencing budgets. One of the things that was stressed at the conference was while the due date for the annual report is March, allowing you to look at the year in the preceding year, the recommendation was that you look at it in a different time zone so that you can provide an annual report to Borough Council in the fall, which would allow for any budgeting that you might want to have happen and to be built into the budget. So that was the second thing. And then the third thing was how to educate new members who come on board. And I also think if we have transition of members, we can go back to this information and look at that. So that how can we orient new members in a meaningful way? New commissioners
They do.
in a meaningful way. So those were the things that that were, I thought, salient for the whole group, and I would recommend anybody go to it, and they have several other 90-minute seminars that are, and what was it, Mike? It was like $25
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
It was like just a nominal fee.
Right,
Make
right.
sure you show up. And then there is a 1.5, there's a 10-hour one that goes over 2 days for in-depth, so.
I can speak to the onboarding experience for myself, and it was I can't use the word on television, but there was nothing. And it wasn't until I kind of stumbled into it that there were a certain pair of members on the planning commission that had done a bang-up job, an unbelievable job of capturing every note, every activity, everything into a shared Google Drive. It wasn't on the Borough, so it's on somebody's private, drive, but it was there. And that was 5 years ago, right? And where we are today, both of you had an experience. Now you came in to a, drinking from a fire hose experience with the whole zoning.
Sure.
But there were limited resources to say, this is a day in the life of the planning commissioner. We also have, I think, a limited definition into what we can give to council who recruits for planning commission openings to say, the expectation, and this is it. Hey, do you want to help me out and volunteer? No. Do you want to help me out and volunteer for 1 hour on Saturday morning to move one couch from a truck into my house? Yeah, I can help you with that. Right? So when you get clear, defined rules of expectation, it's a little bit easier for someone to say, yeah, I'd like to be a part of that. So that's been kind of something I'd like to do. So what we can do is moving forward, we can get on to agenda discussion with everybody around bylaws. I know that, things like communication, we have communication built in with Reed as the chair of the communication committee as an army of one. I think there's a Megan supporting her. But we can formalize that and do a set up. To my knowledge, there has never been Crafton Borough Planning Commission bylaws.
That is correct.
I'm not gonna say that we're absolutely certain whether that's true or not, but in terms of tribal knowledge, we're unaware of any.
And I would also
So-
say that as reading them, there are many of them that we do follow.
Yeah.
So I would not say that this is a big miss.
No,
I'm just saying it's
we're
not-
pretty well run, but it would be good to
Right.
formalize that. The bylaws, the idea of an annual report. There are things on the horizon for us next year that we would want to make sure that we don't find ourselves in May getting to and find out that there aren't $300 for cookies for an event that we want to have, those sorts of things. So as far as an annual report in terms of what we've done and what we're planning into the future, I think that's a great idea. We'll get that onto the agenda for next month. All three of these bylaws, annual report, and reporting, we will agendize into a discussion of what are the things that we want to do in terms of saying and act, those three things. So with that in mind, anything else?
On
there?
that topic,
Good. Okay. So with that, we're on to new business. Fly and roll.
and it's me in the room again.
Yeah, I got a couple of things too.
So,
Yeah.
do you want to go first?
I just want to say, so Crafton is the recipient of a very generous grant. Thank you, Fontana and company, all the people that have continued to deliver. Our ability to close grants, Crafton people, is
It's great. It's really very, very.
and the reason for it is because we implement. And I'll just pick on our neighbors across the way that got the same grant for the zoning work that didn't implement. Well, that kind of tarnishes us because we were commingled on that grant application. Here we are implementing and here they are not. So we want to make sure that when we are, when we are fortunate enough to be awarded something, that we execute. Right, and that is absolutely critical, and that history, it's a virtuous, not a vicious, it's a virtuous cycle. When you're awarded something and you do well in implementing it, people take notice. And people can go to Harrisburg and say, look what's happening in my backyard, and look at the good things, and thank you for the investments, and look at the, what we can reap from what's being sown. So with that in mind, we have been awarded, not much. You can spend it in a sneeze, but it's a couple $100,000 in terms of a downtown update. And there's some good ideas, and there's kind of a punch list of things that, council is going to ask us to look at and to make we're not deciding.
Just the signs and lighting and so forth.
This is the signs and
Okay,
lighting
yeah,
and that sort of
okay.
stuff, and how do we make our downtown, and if you call our downtown Crafton Circle, how do we make it more appealing, in terms of, the Thrive Plan, reducing blight, increasing economic viability, and the walkability of our streets, or community in general. So they have a couple of ideas kind of slated, way too much for what's in the budget
Sure.
of the
We can narrow
grant,
it down,
and
yeah.
they're gonna push it to us. Hopefully in the next month, they'll push it to us with some of those kind of straw man ideas that we can kind of fashion out, grab you guys' input on, take a month, everybody can digest it, put a plan out there, and then make a recommendation of what they should do with the couple of bucks they have. I think it's 350,
3.25.
300 grand plus.
I would also add to that the current business development working group has been approached with that.
Perfect.
And that has, I think, at least 7, if I'm not mistaken, either business owners and residents, et cetera, whose opinions were polled and their preferences stated, and we've had discussion about what would this do in terms of business development. So that input has already been provided by members of the business community and the people on that work.
It's perfect. Perfect.
That is one.
So we'll get a little bit, I think Kirsten said we'll get a little bit of confirmation of that in the coming couple of weeks from their meetings. And so if everything falls in order in terms of the next month, we should have an agenda item next month to talk a little bit about the, our recommendations, the business input, and what can be done with those couple of dollars.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other new business?
I have 2. One is this is perhaps just an add-on to what you just discussed, talking with one of our business owners. They asked an interesting question, which we all struggle with based on the layout, and that is, what is the entrance to Crafton?
Yeah.
And I don't know how others would answer that, but I thought their answer was interesting and worth considering as we look at whatever we're gonna do with this grant money or other things. And they said the entrance to Crafton is at the end of the bridge when you come down Route 6 and come around onto Steuben Street. And they also talked about that should be a place that has, the sidewalks are known to be in good shape and be walkable, and that there was some other discussion of size and depth and sewers and so forth. But I thought it was something that really, as we struggle to think about the different triangular business district that we have, I just wanted to put that out there as consideration for, how we potentially think about what is the entrance to Crafton.
You're so right. I couldn't agree with you more on that, because I know that the Heritage group, I know they're non-Crafton, and they're their own private foundation, but they have aspired to do things like maybe a gazebo right at the corner there. They've had a number, I'd say, interesting plans that are attractive. There's things like the signage by it was an Allstate, now it's a roofer or whatever it is there, that's just the second house in. There's a welcome to Crafton sign that somebody torqued with a snowplow or something, and a post is bent. It's like, welcome to Crafton and have a bent day. You know, so yeah, there's things that that can be addressed there. My personal pet peeve is something we can't do a darn thing about. As a municipality, but we can certainly do a better job from planning commission even. To mention, and that's if you want to walk to, granted, the restaurant that's there is in Pittsburgh. Right, that's the town of Pittsburgh, but it's still a Crafton resource in terms of the restaurant that's there at the end of the bridge. Walking from Crafton to that restaurant is kind of, beggar beware. Because you know, the sidewalk gets super
right.
narrow and it's absolutely terrible and atrocious. But again, that's a county, that's a county road.
Steuben is a state.
State road, state road. So without getting the state involved to do something about that, there's not much the borough can do. But we can make noise around how unsafe that is and how, I mean, think about it, it's like strike two, it's kind of blighted. But it's 2 strikes against the walkability of Crafton to go to support a business and develop economic, even though it's Pittsburgh. So there's really 2 strikes against our comprehensive plan just on that, on that corner. So yeah, we can certainly do a better job from our perspective to raise that up as an area for council to try and tackle or at least make more visible. And I think it's manifested, right now. We have done, I would say, attaboy to the planning commission over the past couple of years. We have raised a lot of concern about the crossing from the pool to Walgreens, whatever it is, whatever you want to say, that corner is Linden Avenue is the name of it. It's unsafe. It's unsafe. And this state has invested some money, slow but surely, into improving that Steuben corridor. And, it's by no means done, but I don't know what the master plan is. I don't know if they're gonna put pylons in and, make it a better crossing than what it is, but we can certainly talk about why that's important. Council is a little reluctant, fortunately for them. They're a little bit reluctant to do much there because the school board is kind of a 3-ring circus around what the Linden property is potentially gonna be.
Yeah.
Right, so there's a lot of stuff up in the air there. But that whole corridor, it's a safety concern, it's a bit of a blight concern if you're a business owner here. It doesn't exactly say we're open and welcome for business.
And maybe a couple of thoughts. One is if maybe another reason why it'd be good to have GAI when they come up with their trail plan to give this body a briefing, or maybe invite the commission to a presentation with the trail. Anyway, the reason I'm saying that is because we've talked about the fact that Steuben Street is not the most bike friendly place.
Yeah.
So there's a reason to just to be aware of these things in combination. Another thing is, long time ago, one of the things that the then historical committee got involved in was, changing the street sign so they had, the black and whites. It makes me wonder about the entrance issue now, of whether maybe some thought needs to be given to, what's Crafton's claim to fame, whatever it is. And is there a consistent design of things that ought to carry through the borough? Starting with whatever the welcome is. I don't have a great thought, but it's almost like an architectural issue. What should it be? So anyway, just a thought that maybe it's a discussion in a broader sense.
That is a great thought, and I will tell you over the past many years, gets contentious very quickly because people have something specific to them that's in mind and an agenda around it. And there's just not enough to do everything, and what ends up happening is nothing because, well, that's the way favorites fly. But no, you're absolutely right, and we can spend some time.
Good to just evaluate today, see what the circumstances are today.
Yeah.
See where we might be able to.
As far as the GAI comment though, unfortunately, we can't ask them. And the reason is the RFP scope is specifically,
Can't ask who?
GAI,
Oh, yeah, no.
Baker's
Yeah, no,
Acre,
I think it's a separate issue.
the scope of their work is Baker's
Oh, yeah,
Acres.
yeah.
And the portion that is the.
Yeah, no, I wasn't thinking of that. I was
Oh,
thinking
I see.
that,
Okay,
you know, this is a separate thing.
yeah.
Should there be some, just some.
Well, and that really speaks well to the annual report, right? Because, we can set, some planning commission goals, for next year. We've done that in the past.
Right, that's should be,
We have not formalized that. But the idea of entrance to Crafton and what is open for business, that can be, quite honestly, something we can tackle through the winter. So
Right.
what does that look like? And it ranges. I mean, Wozniak and Mangin put together a really cool concept. I'll call it what it is. It's amazing. Where they had kind of scoped what would be a walking pass over where Walgreens is to Linden, right? What would that look like as a, kind of a railroady Crafton railroad town, Harkin, kind of black iron structure. And it looks great, but unless you got a couple of $1 million rattling around, it's not really that possible. But the idea of it's good to dream big and then figure out what you can do with the reality. And so we can add that to the next meeting around the bylaws, annual report with some goal setting, including entrance to Crafton. And obviously to improve the onboarding experience of folks like all of us, have a little bit easier of a time.
Yeah.
Coming on to the commission in the future.
so I have one more that is not, it is sort of like new business, old business, but it is just, I thought it would be important, just for the record, to, and this is referencing the zoning code analysis that was provided to us at the last meeting before our vote. And I just wanted to highlight, I think for the record, just the analysis of alignment between draft code and original objectives. And just the document says objective number 1, facilitate vibrancy through flexibility, well addressed. Enhance public realm through design standards, well addressed. Ensure compatibility and buffering, partially addressed. And the partial says it has to do with conditional use for mining, etc. So it's a limited sidebar. The other things are all detailed as addressed. Objectives protecting natural resources and green design, partially addressed. Conservancy design, steep slope, landscape, stormwater, all good. Maybe some more green to be added. Objective number 5, organizational efficiency and joint administration, not addressed. It talks about the joint administration with Ingram Borough, and Ingram decided not to, so that's not a relevant one for us.
It's a painful one, but
Right,
it's not
it is.
relevant.
Yeah, I mean, it's painful, but
Yeah.
yes, I was gonna say it's unfortunate. Facility, pedestrian, bike and transit access, well addressed.
Yep.
So areas needing improvement were enhanced environmental protections, joint administration framework, and compatibility and buffering. Then there was greater detail, but I just thought for the record, it would be helpful to have that,
Yep.
that noted.
I think that's great into the record. Any other comment, Mel?
No.
Thank you. All right, that is. Was there something else on new business that I'm forgetting?
We talked about public comment.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
We have these last few agenda, I don't know if it's been this way for a long time, but there's two places for the public, take public comments, one be early in the meeting and one after. And my thought would be that to limit that to one, but I'd be interested in people's comments who are here today. Because it's important if people want to have a comment about an action that might be pending, to make sure people get to talk about it before the action takes place. But I don't know if it's what purpose it serves afterwards.
Yeah,
But anyway, I don't know, I'd invite others to.
well, I'll discuss it, and then the next thing is we're gonna open it up to
Yeah.
the floor, but I will say, as far as I'm concerned as chair, we are not removing the public comment about agenda items to precede the meeting. It's too important. It's a transparency issue.
Right.
If you're, we are asking Mike and we're putting in the cycles to publish an agenda as best we can in advance of the meeting. To give people the opportunity to come and say, what are you talking about? Or this is a great idea, or whatever it is. So the ability that the first one, the second one, I'll say to you, I have no problem leaving both. This is a personal opinion and I'm trying to influence you. My opinion is to leave both, simply because as we discuss things and people are present, we want more people. Thank you, by the way, for everyone who's come and everyone's online. We want more people to be here, and the ability for them to add their comment about whatever business we just adjourned or in the process of adjourning, I think is welcome. Now, with all that said, going through zoning, it's been a tough slug. And it's been a contentious thing. And it's a once in a generation for a planning commission to have to deal with. I'm of the opinion that you let it ride, and what you'll find is you won't see a whole lot of disruption out of that. But I think the mechanics of it are good. We added the one of speaking before the meeting about agendized items during the zoning process. We only had public comment after
Right, which was
in
always
the
awkward.
past. But I think that having both bookends to the meeting for the public, I think it's a welcome addition. So with that, any other comments before we turn it over to?
I would just say that that just for history purposes, as you said, it was in response to citizens to say it would be helpful to comment before.
Right.
And so we put that in, and I personally agree with that just at council meetings too. It's hard to comment at the end. You need to comment before if you don't, something.
Yeah, the vote's already happened. Yeah, you can't, you can't.
Also, just on the general topic of public input. It seems, in some cases, it's helpful to have it very structured to say, you talk for 3 minutes or whatever it is. On the other hand, it might be helpful to have more of a discussion. Where if folks have a question about something, let's talk about it. But just a thought, I'm not suggesting a certain format for that.
Well,
But to the extent that people have a question and it doesn't really get answered, then that's not so helpful either.
I will tell you that there is a format for that, and it's a well-oiled machine. It just doesn't happen to coincide with the public meeting. If you want to have a lengthy debate, I mean, there's a lot of people to give up their time to be here. I'm just saying what it is. At any point, planning commission can be reached. And Mike's office can be reached. At any point, the community can come in and we would not have a quorum. But we can have present planning commission to gather and to inform the agenda of the next meeting or what have you, so that the public can come in and talk to borough staff. And we can consummate that into some sort of agendized item for us to then discuss. Because anything else where you just have a public forum becomes. It's very difficult to maintain the decorum of the rules of order and
Yeah, I
all the
understand
things
that,
that we're operating underneath in our forum, but it allows the public to have conduit to say, listen, this is an important topic. These guys are not addressing it, or whatever it may be, to escalate it so that we can have a discussion about it as an agendized item. And even welcome that person as a guest speaker or what have you, into those sorts of things. So there is a format already in place for it. But yes, it does take a couple of steps because of the structure of the sunshine laws and the way that we have to do these meetings in the first place.
So I'm gonna suggest two things. Number one, that we hear from our attendees
Yep.
tonight.
Yep.
And number two, that we further this when we have everybody present.
Yep. I think it's great.
Anybody have any comments? Thoughts?
All right, come on up. It's, we're gonna move on to general public comments only. I will just read that, neighborly, this is important. I will read that, the floor is only open to Crafton residents and business owners, et cetera. And the floor is yours. If we ask you to come up, if you can state your name when you write your name and address down, you do not have to state your name, you don't have to state
Address.
your address into the microphone because this is recorded into social media.
My name is Terry Mitchell, and I just have called.
Okay.
Number one, I do agree that we need to have the questions both places.
Yep.
Because some people see something on the agenda, and like you said, before it gets into any further, they want to say something. One of the reasons that I wanted to come tonight was I've never been to one that wasn't about zoning.
Mhm.
And so I'm interested in knowing what else takes place. Okay. And several things got brought up that if I only got to speak in the beginning of the meeting, I would not get to address them. Okay. The one thing is, you mentioned a master park plan.
Mhm.
Is that available to see
Oh, absolutely.
on the website?
It's on the website.
Okay, it's on the website. Okay. The second thing is, you had mentioned about the historical society with the street signs, which we loved them. We loved them. They are getting beat up bad.
Yeah.
And I mean, does the homeowner responsible who live, I mean, they're just, I guess it's the salt and everything. It's just,
Age too, probably.
yeah, but the bottoms are all like losing their
The
paint.
bottom or is it the sign itself?
Yeah,
You want
yeah.
the, you want
the
the bottom
bottom
to
of
the side.
It's the bottom of
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
it's the
okay.
pedestal
Yeah.
where it meets,
That'd be
it's,
soft.
it's really, getting beat up. And
And
like you
don't-
said, you put all that into a sign and then people, it doesn't look real good. Okay, another observation is, and this is just funny because I know that the borough meetings, the council meetings are on Thursday. Okay, and like you're having a business mixer on Thursday. Thursday is also the concerts in the park. And it's almost like,
Yeah.
maybe there should be a way to work together so if somebody wants to be at more than one of these, we can.
And
the
Thursday is
last
also
thing-
swimming, so,
Oh, right, there's also the
Right,
swimming
so-
tonight, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the other thing about the crossing down at Steuben. One of the things that makes it so dangerous, I don't have to tell you, but people wanna cross. Where they can press the button to cross, okay, except when you go over to the athletic field does not have a sidewalk.
Right.
Beside it, so they cross this way, but then as they get down a little bit, they sort of jaywalk over to here.
Mhm.
And, somebody's gonna get hurt. It is, it's just a bad, bad setup there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so, that's it.
thank you,
Thank you.
Sherry. Mike, are you taking, just note that one for
Council.
council?
Yeah, you got it.
Thanks.
Not the first time.
I don't have to get off this, I think we should have to.
Thanks, Lauren.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
I'm glad I brought this up.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're looking at you, Chris.
Chris?
Just gonna say, having the second one allows people to bring up. Business not listed in the agenda. I like that you split that up. If you're gonna speak beforehand, make sure it's focused on the agenda. If you're gonna speak afterwards, you can be.
That's a nice way to do it.
Anything you want to bring up.
Yep. That's the idea.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. All right, anybody online? Do we have Nicole?
Hand is up, one moment.
There you
Anybody else?
go. Hi, Nicole.
Nicole.
Nicole
should be working. Hi there. Can you all hear me? Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I just want to, Nicole Curvin, 184 South Grandview. Just wanted to comment on the thought about suppressing one of the public comment periods. I think both are important, and I posted reasons in the chat as to why. Those include, what others have said, that it's important to have citizens' responses, immediate feedback and clarification as to what's been happening in the meeting so that their opinions are on public record, that community response is on public record. That some of the comments made in the after portion of the meeting could be used to set future agenda items, also for accountability and transparency purposes. And for addressing oversights. So, for example, sometimes there are important perspectives or information that emerge only after people have had time to process what happened during the meeting. And so those can be captured in that way. So I think, for me, there's no way if I were in this process that I would want to not know what the public thought of the proceedings. So I hope we keep it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, great points, everybody. Makes perfect sense. I'm glad that you guys know the history of how the opening version came to be. I think, I'll go through the pandemic and say that, we went 6 meetings in a row with virtually no public input whatsoever. So, it's great to have public input and to be in person again and having a virtual presence so that we can meet everybody where they are. Before we conclude, I will entertain a motion to adjourn in 30 seconds, only because a pet peeve of mine came up. The park plan is available on the website. The park plan is not a punch list. I'll say that again. The park plan is not a punch list. There are 12, 14, $15 million worth of park improvements in that plan. We are not going to do any large subset of any of them, but as opportunities arise, or for us to find funders and friends of Crafton and whatever it may be, we have plans for all of those things that you see. So if there are things that you see in that plan that are, wow, that's like this, like that one about the dog park, my personal agenda.
Very good.
You might want to come and advocate at a council meeting or to one of these meetings about things that you've seen that you want to elevate from the park plan. That's why it's there. We've thought through the resourcing of all those issues, but by no means is that a list of the taxpayer dollars that will get spent. That's a list of things that could be done based off of the input of the broader community over a planning process that spanned over a year. So that's what it is. It's often people are like, wait a minute, they're going to spend a lot of money here. No, we have a plan to, but we don't have the money to. So what is most important are the things that we'll fight for as budgeting comes up this fall. And hopefully we get the dog park. I'm sorry, some of these things into the budget for next year. Okay.
In addition to.
In addition. That's right. Okay, anything else? Motion to adjourn, I'll entertain. I have a second from Alan. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming and have a blessed evening.